On this episode, we talk with Don Siridhara, a transportation planner who is working on Bangkok's expanding rail network.
So if you want to learn more about how the train system in Bangkok works and what's coming up, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krab, human, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand for a quick trip in 2001, but wasn't allowed back home because it was, in fact, I who let the dogs out.
Oh, wow. I was wondering who did that. And I am Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract almost 19 years ago, fell in love with 2-hour-long Friday night cab rides, and I never left.
Nice.
All right, before we start, a huge thanks to all of our patrons who support the show with a wee donation. For more info on how you can become a patron, just head to the support page on bangkokpodcast.com. And of course, one of the cool things our patrons get is an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we talk about current events in Thailand and basically whatever else we can think of. We just finished recording this week's bonus show, and we chatted about my experience riding the brand new Blue Line subway extension, as well as a recent trip to Phectchaburi that Greg took, and what we both think of road trips in Thailand. Good, bad? Well, you'll have to listen to hear our verdict.
Did I ever tell you one time in high school, a bunch of friends and I took a trip to Seattle?
Nope. Never heard the Seattle story.
This was in the early 90s when grunge was just becoming like huge. And Seattle was on the map big time. So we piled in a car one day. We played hooky from school and drove, I forget how long it was, like 5 hours or something to Seattle. And then drove all the way, got some coffee and drove all the way back. It was a gigantic waste of time.
Did you hear any grunge?
We listened to it the whole way down there, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
All right, well, before we get into the main show, a couple of things we want to get out of the way. First, I want to say hello to a random dude who stopped me in Central World a couple of weeks ago to say hi. I was walking along with my son on my shoulders and my wife behind me, and this guy caught my eye just passing me, and he goes, "Greg!" And I was like, "Hey, do I know?" And he's like, "I'm a big fan." And I was like, "Oh, I'm assuming you mean of the podcast, because I can't think of what else you could possibly know me from."
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, so we chatted for a quick minute while we were surrounded by people probably getting annoyed that we had stopped in the middle of the walkway, but yeah, I didn't get your name, but random dude, thanks, nice to meet you, and I'm glad you listened to the show. So, dude,
you're a celebrity, even if you are a minor one, you still are a celebrity.
Yeah, my wife was like, "What the hell was that?" I'm like, I'm famous, She's like, "Pfft."
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And secondly, we want to say a big thanks to all of our listeners who came out to our meetup a couple of weeks ago. I had a great time. It was really, really cool to meet everyone. We had a superb group of people with a really cool mix of stories and backgrounds, and I had a great night.
Yeah, great conversation. I didn't leave until 1:30 a.m.
Damn, I got out of there long before that, but good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time, and thanks again to everyone who came out. And we always say this, but we really are going to make an effort to have them more often than once every 6 or 8 months.
Yes, we will.
We will. So I had fun, and I am very much looking forward to the next one. All right. Well, on this episode, we are psyched to have on the show a fellow by the name of Don. Don got his Master's of Science at the University of Texas at El Paso and a PhD in Transportation Engineering from Virginia Tech. Currently, he lectures at Mahidol University, as well as working as a transport planner, which recently saw him lending his expertise, helping get Bangkok's new and upcoming train system up to speed. So I sat down with Don to chat about the realities of making complicated rail networks a reality, what it's like working within a highly structured industry, and why it's not as easy as just, quote, adding a bunch of new trains to the line, unquote, to make things flow faster and better. So with the upcoming official opening of the Blue Line extension, here's my conversation with Don Siridhara. All right. Well, we're very happy to have on the show a gentleman by the name of Don Siridhara, who came to me by way of my buddy Nomadic Notes, James from Nomadic Notes, who is a big train nerd. And I was talking to James, and I said, James, do you know anyone who can maybe chat to us about the train and rail infrastructure of Bangkok? Because it's something that I've always been really interested in. And James said, yeah, talk to this guy, Don. So, Don, thank you for coming to meet me here in this little coffee shop in Ari, and welcome to the Bangkok podcast.
Thank you for inviting me too. You're very welcome.
Yeah. So, you have kind of a really inside track on the knowledge of Bangkok's rail system. You're a lecturer, you're a professional traffic planner, a transportation planner, I should say.
Yep.
Traffic planner makes it sound like you play video games, things like that.
It's more or less that's what I do. Really.
Well, the train network in Bangkok is fascinating to me because it's a city of 10, 12, 14 million people or so, and the existing rail network is pathetic for a city this size. So I wanted to start off with that. Like, why is Bangkok so underserved by its existing rail network?
No, actually, well, from my point of view, I think it's a long story. When we dated back, we had something called national plans that we developed national plan, and is used for like 5 years at a time. From the very first national plan, we say something about, we need to develop some rail network, we need to rely on the rail network. But after a few first plans, we kind of forget about all this rail network, and then we focus a lot on the road network. We need to put the road network here and there. The thing is that you gotta admit that road helps economic growth, but we cannot do that forever. It reaches to the point that we suffer a lot from traffic jam, and the quality of life goes down. So they come back again, I think very recently, like maybe about 20 years back, and then they say, okay, let's look back, and then we need to focus more on water transport and rail transport. So to get more efficient, to move people, not to move cars, actually.
Right. I guess that makes sense because roads are, relatively speaking, easy to build. They're easy to plan. They've been being built for thousands of years. Everyone knows how they work, but an elevated electrified train system is a bit more complicated. So I can understand why people would first want to build the road networks. And the SkyTrain was built in 1999. It was opened in 1999, which was 2 years before I got here. And I remember reading about the legendarily bad traffic in Bangkok before the SkyTrain was open. And I remember reading something once about a thing called an Easy Pee, which is a little can you kept in your car, and if you had to pee because you were stuck in traffic, you could pee in this little thing and then empty it out later. That's how bad traffic was.
I used to hear that a lot, but I never used one myself, but I always wonder how it will be used. Anyway, but as you mentioned, 1999, yes, that was the first year that we had our first system open. But the ideas, the concept, the intention went a little bit further before that. But we just wait until a private company comes in, and then they just has enough courage to submit this proposal to BMA. Okay. They say that, okay, we're going to do this, and they say that it's going to make good money. Today, we don't view public transportation as something that you're going to make money out of, but back then, people just don't want to build public transportation because they know that they're going to be losing money somehow. But this private company comes in, and then, okay, no problem, we're going to build it, we're going to operate it, and just let us do it. So that's how it started. Bangkok master plan actually started a year after. Really? After the BTS started. Wow. Yeah. We had the first one called MTMP in 1994 before, but a really big concrete one is called ERMAP. That was in 2001. ERMAP. Okay. Yeah. MTMP, the forefather is like, just a few lines, on the backbones, northeast, southwest, and stuff like that. But ERMAP represent a really nice looking network, which is very similar to the one we have around here. But from EarthMap, we have a revolution, a little bit of improvement called MMap in 2010.
Okay. Really?
So that's how we do the master plan. Actually, pretty much concurrently of how we start gradually building all this network.
So the master plan then is that the rail map that's you can find online now? It's been passed around a lot. It's got all these rail lines all out to the far north, southeast, and west suburbs. Is that the master plan?
Yes, that's the idea. Actually, around for Bangkok metropolitan area and surrounding provinces.
Right. Yeah.
And you can search on the internet mmap, M-MAP.
Okay.
Map.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit of self-promotion here because for a long time I really wanted to you could see the map of this master plan of all the rail routes, the upcoming rail lines in Bangkok, but it was drawn very pretty, right angles. It wasn't to scale. You couldn't really see what actual roads the rails were going down. So what I did, and I haven't sent this to you, I'll send it to you later, but what I did was I went through all of the different lines websites, the red line, the orange line, the blue line, whatever, and I downloaded the map from their site, and I made basically a Google Maps with all of the routes, the actual routes where they're going and what roads they're going to be on, and it's been online for 5-6 years now, and it's got crazy SEO because it seems to be like one of the really only like Google document maps or something like that that's out there that shows all the upcoming rail lines. But one of the things that strikes me when I look at it is that I think, from a non-professional's point of view, that in 15 years, Bangkok is going to have a really good rail network. Mm-hmm. Is that a correct assumption, or am I just sort of being too optimistic?
I assume so. First of all, when you talk about the map, it doesn't look like it making very much sense in a way of direction and in a way of true scale distance. But that's the way transit map usually is produced. You can go to most cities in the world, and then the transit map will look like that.
Yes, you
know, because that's the reason is that when people travel on transit, they don't care about the direction, they don't care about the distance. They just need to know what's going to be the next station and how many stations they need to get off. That's how our transit map or M map looks that way. Okay. The second thing is that sometimes it looks very confusing because our road network is not very well planned. It's just the structure of the city are quite different from those in North America or some new world, because when you plan the roads, you plan in the grid systems, right? You have the central road, you have the zero road, and then you call it first street, second street until 20
Northeast,
something
southwest,
southwest,
whatever,
and everything. But in here we started from a small city in a few hundred years back, and then cities start growing horizontally.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we try so much to try to make people travel in a very good pattern, so it reduces some confusion.
Yeah.
So that's why this railway network doesn't seem very much in order.
Right.
But actually, in this network, it has some what we call a principle of laying too. If you look at the network, really, you have the green line, as a backbone, north and south.
Sure, that's the one from Mochit to Siam.
Yes,
and then all the way down to Keha.
Yeah, to Keha, Samut Prakan.
Yeah.
Those two green lines. We call it light green and dark green.
Okay.
And that's our backbone, of course. And then you have the purple line going from north to south to in the west.
Yeah.
On the east, you have the yellow line going from north to south. And then from east to west, in the middle, you have the orange line.
Right.
To the north, you have the pink line. To the south, you don't have much because you don't have a lot of demand traveling on that direction.
Right.
And then you have the blue line as a ring road.
Right.
Oh, sorry, or the ring route.
The ring road, yeah. And of course, and the gold line. I live in Thonburi, close to Icon Siam, where they're building the gold line now.
Yes.
That's the smaller, short one.
True.
And that doesn't really serve a transportation purpose. I think it serves more of a shopping purpose.
But it will help a lot because as of today, you know what happens to around to the traffic around that area.
Yeah, well, when I drive to work, which is not often, but when I drive to work, half the trip is getting the like 800 meters across the bridge. You know,
I know a few people who live there, and they start to suffer quite a bit. After the new department store open.
Yeah. Although I will say it is pretty nice to have an IMAX theater that close.
Oh,
but anyway.
Sure. For me, I love it.
Yeah. So speaking of the bridge, let me ask you a question. What's going on with the Taksin Bridge? Because that section of the BTS for a long time has been a bottleneck. Ever since they extended the line across the river in 2004 or 5, something like that. That bridge has been a bottleneck because it only has one rail line going across it. The last I read, they were going to widen the bridge and make it a dual rail bridge. What's going on with that?
And probably it will be planned and will be finished by 2022. Yes, we are planning to widen the bridge. That's unavoidable anyway. It was planned like that because it was a terminal station long before, and then in 10 years later, after BTS start operation, it has the extension from Sapan Taksin to Krung Thonburi and Wong Vien Yai, and even further now. And everyone experienced about like 10 to 15 minutes wait every morning. Yeah. So and they say that it's gonna take about 2 years to improve that. But anyway, meanwhile, you can use I think it's S5 or S7 Krung Thonburi or Surasak station in the meantime.
Are they going to close the bridge totally to car traffic?
No, not the vehicle traffic, but just the station.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then
it freaked me out a little bit there.
No. They're gonna kind of gradually move the bridge a little bit farther apart.
I see. Okay.
And then they just gonna take a part of the bridge out in the middle, and then extend.
Yeah, I think it'll be painful, but I think it's necessary. It has to be done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So you've probably had this experience too, and I know a lot of, especially expats who like to complain. We're standing on the BTS station, and it's hot. We're late for work or whatever, and the first thing we think of is like, damn it, why don't they just order more trains? They need to come more often. Is it that easy? Is that an easy fixed solution?
There are several constraints actually. These trains normally they first of all they just come in a set. If you order 3 cars train, they come as 3. If you order 4, they come as 4. It's unlike in the city trains when you can just add more cars to the train.
Really?
Yeah, it is. You can do that. You can alter that, but it's gonna be quite a bit difficult to do so because the structure of the bogie and the structure of the cars. But you can add more trains. Actually, you can add more trains if you say that if the headway is too far away. The headway means the time between the train, right?
Okay.
Like 3 minutes too much, but you still have some constraint because unlike vehicles, train needs very far distance to stop.
Yeah.
So it needs to have a very very long headway between trains. So you cannot just put 2 trains very close together. So maybe another solution is that you add more cars to the train, or maybe you order 5-car train set.
Right.
Or something like that.
Because the platforms are long enough for
platform
4 or
is
5
long
cars.
enough. Yes.
Yeah.
But we're not quite sure how much the ridership would go, but so far as we know that the ridership goes very, very rapidly, goes up very rapidly. So it makes us more confidence in that term, I think.
Okay, so it's not just easy. It's not like a Lego train where you can just throw another train on and all your problems are solved. I imagine there's a lot of considerations, financial, safety, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and then also lots of complexity about signaling and communications. If you're trying to control, the train with a weight of 5 cars and with as compared to the train with a weight of 3 cars, so that's going to be quite a bit different.
Right. Yeah. I guess again, it's something that not it's easy for some guy standing on the platform to complain about, but there's a lot of things that people probably don't think about.
It's not just only expats who complain. All Thai complain about it anyway.
Well, speaking of the stations and the platforms, I just read a story in the Bangkok Post the other day about the 2 ghost stations that are being built. There's Suksawitiya, which is between Chongnonsi and Surasak, and Senaruam between Ari and Sapankwai. Yeah. You can still see those stations marked in little like dotted lines on some maps, but why do they exist and why are they being built now?
Oh, the network was starting to be planned with belief that we normally walk in 500 meters. That's our preferred distance to walk. So that's why all these networks are, station spacing are about 1 kilometer apart. And of course, everyone would like to have 1 kilometer per station. But as a transportation planner, sometimes you just do the demand. What we call the catchment area is where when you put the station and you look around it, if you have the condominiums, you have some good settlements, you have some commercial, you have a lot of activities. If you have good activities, that's good to put the stations. If you put the station with no activities around, it's quite wasteful in a few ways. The first, of course, the ridership is not so good, for you to invest. You can see in some stations right now, you can see Snam Pao, for example. It's not, we don't have a lot of ridership at Snam Pao, right? But I'm afraid Senaruam is going to be the same. It's going to be the same case. Secondly, if you put too many stations, trains stop more frequently. It means that if you want to travel very long distance from one end to another end, so you waste more time, stopping and pick up nobody, and then dropping nobody, and so on and so forth. And then there's an issue about the maintenance, an issue about the operation, power, anyway, all those things. But as far as we know that now Phectchaburi is being developed, I think as soon as next month, they have already passed the PP, public participation, and then the EIA process, and they have the plan to start building next month. But Senaruam is still on paper. Okay,
that's what I read. Yeah, that they've already started making preparations to build Suksawitiya. That's the one between Chongnonsi and Surasak.
Yes. I think that's the demand picks up.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I understand that. Okay. So how many? Just a quick statistic. How many kilometers of track are going to be added to the network in the next 5 or 10 years? Do you know?
Well, actually, I did a little bit of research, but maybe not very exact. I think existing, not counting the one that just opened this month. I think and before that we have about 124 kilometers of track. At the very end, according to the map, we're gonna have about 540 kilometers.
Wow! Yeah. So like another 380 or 400, something like that.
Yes, but so far we have almost all routes approved by the cabinets. Except just only some few things like the red line in Bang Sư Hua Mak and the west part of the orange. But the west part of the orange line will be, I think it will be approved very, very soon, because it doesn't make sense if you approve just half of the line to the center and then you don't continue to the west.
That's right.
And but only feeder lines of about 70 kilometers those are in question. The gray line, the blue line, and the brown line that not many people are talking about. But as time goes by, I'm sure that all these lines will be mandatory for people for the city too.
Now the gray line, that's the one that goes down Rama 3, sort of above Bang Krachao.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think that's a really good location for a train line, because that whole area is really inaccessible if you don't have a car. It's hard to get to.
two could be two sides of how you view it. Sometimes people say that it's good, that it's not very good.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
you're right.
otherwise it's not gonna be that green anymore.
That's right.
But we would like to make a full use of every square meters that we have, as far as we know that all the land area in Bangkok has a lot of opportunities to do so many things.
Right.
But so far, I think we have done good works on utilizing the land use in Bangkok, with help of the railway networks, of course. And in the very near future, we're gonna have chance to exploit more lands on that. I checked this from very interesting one that I just, out of my curiosity, I just compared to London. How dare I? But anyway, I did.
Okay.
London has say 1,500 square kilometers, same size as Bangkok. Just only a few kilometers different.
Oh wow, okay.
And it has 270 stations, 402 kilometers. Bangkok full M-map plan would introduce 540 kilometers with 355 stations. Okay, if you subtract all those feeders, that will bring total kilometers down to 400 something, very comparable to London.
And London is kind of like the gold standard for the tube or the train, right? Was one of the oldest.
Yes,
it's one of the most used.
Yes,
not counting crazy places like Tokyo and things like that.
Well, Tokyo is always exceptions for all the cities in the world. Other cities in the world, there's the giant Tokyo and all other dwarfs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if you go back to London, we hope that one day we could be as good as London, or almost as good as London. But I can still see a lot of obstacles to trying to gain. First of all, we're trying to gain ridership, but we're gonna have a good future. But there are several elements that we need to improve. We are focusing on developing a lot of train network, a railway network, but there are small things that we need to focus on, because first of all, the accessibility. People need to go from home, go from their origin to the stations.
Yeah, right, exactly. If it takes you an hour to get to a train station, then it's kind of silly to
and you can see some stations does not provide a very good advantage just to people who walk, to pedestrians. You can go almost everywhere by car in Bangkok, but some places it's very difficult to go by foot. You can imagine all those big superhighways across the in the middle of the cities, and then you were looking at those highways and you wonder how I can get to the other side of the highway.
Right. Good luck.
London doesn't have that problems, or not that much.
Yeah, Bangkok is a unique city in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Well, as we're getting close to finishing, let me ask about the ticketing system. The dream of many Bangkok commuters is the one card, one ticket for the boat, the subway, the SkyTrain. And I think you can agree as a Bangkok resident that probably one of the worst things about living here is being stuck at Asok or Siam or Victory Monument at rush hour with no tap card, no contact card, and you have to line up to get change, and then you have to line up to put the money in the machine, and then you have to line up to go through the turnstiles. It sucks. So I think like this single ticketing system would be a big help for everyone, but it's just taking so long to do. Can you have an update on that?
We are unique in a way that because we have 3 operators for railway networks. The first one is the BTS, as I mentioned. The second one would be the BM, who operates from most of the MRT's network. And then the third one would be SRTET, the subsidiary of State Railway of Thailand. And those three, develop their own system. Even the stations, we kind of joke among our transportation partners. Not a good joke. It's just only the nerds joke. But anyway, we just say that there's no interchange stations in Bangkok. What we have is just only two stations that appears to be close to one another. You can think about it. You want to go from Green Line to Blue Line, and then you get off at Asok Station, and then you walk from Asok Station to Sukhumvit Station. There are two separate stations. That just has to be in there, and same goes with the tickets. The problem is that the BTS developed the tickets first, and then almost 20 years later, we were thinking about the common ticket ideas, the common ticket principles. During these years, BTS has reinforced their brands, has built their brand that becomes very recognized with the rabbit card, and then it ties up with almost all commercials you can think about, 7-Eleven and all those many restaurants and stuff like that.
Right.
And then suddenly the government says that, okay, let's change all to Mangmum card.
Right.
You know? And then I partially I understand that if I were BTS, I would question, what do I get if I change? What type of incentive?
We spent all this money on branding and advertising and infrastructure, and now they just want to step in and be like, oh no, we're going to go with this card instead.
Yeah. But okay, one day we will figure out how, what type of incentive that, is to offer, to all parties involved, so everyone wins. But in the meanwhile, we just have to put up with this for quite some time, and we have some incremental approach to solve it before we need to get change first before we go to the ticket vending machine, and then you drop coins by coins.
It reminds me of when the DVDs came out, the Blu-ray, and then there was another format of Blu-ray, or when computer memory came out, there was floppy disks and there was optical disks. It was like this Sony memory card, and then the SD card, and the mini SD card. There's all these
exactly.
There's no one can ever agree on anything. I guess it happens in Bangkok as well.
But anyway, but so far we have improved a little bit. But we can buy with some banknotes in most of the stations now with BTS, and then of course we have some the line pay, some QR code pay or something like that. So maybe we can move into with the help of cashless society, that we can go a little bit more convenient with the buying tickets while we are waiting for the solutions. But I'm sure one day we figure it out, because let's say go back to London again. London didn't have the united system before it started with a few companies, and then they kind of reached some agreements. I need to read the history more than that. I don't know how they figure it out, but it will be very interesting. It could be our lesson to learn.
I think it's we could all hope to be like London one day. Final question. I want to talk a little bit about the new rail depot at Bangsu. Bangsu.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest buildings I've ever seen in my life. It's huge. And I don't really have a specific question about it, but it's going to work well, isn't it? It looks like all of the SRT lines are going to go through there, north and south. The blue line is going to go through there. The blue line, BTS line. The high-speed line, what's going on with that? How is that Bangsu depot going to change or help Bangkok's rail infrastructure?
There are some different opinions. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really have a perfect conclusion for it, but there are some different opinions. People were happy to have everything at least to be called interchange station, true interchange station for everything.
This is what your transportation nerds daydream about.
Yes, that's one thing. But there are some few doubts in our minds about Bang Sue Station. The Bang Sue Station is, location-wise, very doubtful that it has very few connections with roads. When you're gonna have a really good interchange station, you cannot refuse, you cannot deny accessibility for cars. Anyway, we need to rely on cars, no matter what, the private cars, the taxis, the motorcycles, and then the buses. So with a very quite limited access of this, I doubt that it will create some traffic jam or some other problems when it fully operates. We will see about that. Second doubt is that because of its size, some like to boast about, this is going to be biggest in, I don't know, Southeast Asia, East Asia, or whatever. They can draw the line that's going to be biggest.
Yeah.
But the big stations means that once you drop, but people who use this travel by foot. They are all pedestrians at some point of time, and they need to rely on their foot.
Right.
Yeah. So long distance doesn't help. If you want to transfer from this point, and then you need to catch a train like a kilometer away, that's going to be pretty tough.
That's one thing that I found when I was in Tokyo, is that you always hear like, the trains in Tokyo are amazing. They're everywhere. You can walk underground and you can walk from train to train, but there's some times where it felt like I was walking for 20 minutes to get to the connecting train line. And at that point I was like, well, what's the point? But bigger is not always necessarily better.
I don't know, but one day I hope that Thai people might be as strong as Japanese, because how Japanese they just 1 kilometer, okay, no problem. We especially at this month of the year, I wonder if I could survive 400 meters.
My ex-girlfriend once made me take a tuk-tuk to a place that we could see. So the walking is not a huge pastime here.
I know. Same.
All right, final question. Is there anything I can do, or that I can ask you to do, to convince the SRT, the State Railway of Thailand, to turn the abandoned rail depot along Phectchaburi Road into a beautiful new park? I think that would really improve Bangkok a lot.
There are several plans. There are really, really several plans. It means that they always think about it, and everyone thinks about it, including SRT, of course. Yeah. But I'm sure that there are some procedures to go about, and it's not gonna happen like in a few days. It's just in a very short time. They gradually have the whole plan laid out. They have their business plan. Rebuild this and that and everything. Of course, that if you look at SRT in terms of their size of operation, they are looking at the countrywide operation. So they have priorities to do, and they have limited budget to take care of the problem. So I'm sure one day they will take care of this, but they might be looking at the best solutions or the appropriate way to approach this. And it could be through some help of private sectors. It could be some help of some special type of fundings. But it will happen one day.
Fingers crossed. Here's hoping.
3 fingers crossed.
All right, well, Khun Don, thank you so much for coming on. It's really interesting to talk about Bangkok this way. I think it's going to be a much more livable city in 5-10 years, due in no small part to the rail network. So thank you for the work you're doing to make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Well, that was pretty cool. I got to say, all things considered, I think Thailand and Bangkok in particular has got great public transit, man. I think the MRT and the BTS are great. I mean, they don't go everywhere you want them to go, but they're clean, they're modern, predictable. They rarely break down. I know sometimes they get too crowded, depending on the time and the station. But overall, I got to go thumbs up on public transportation in Bangkok.
Yeah, me too, man. It's somewhat of a hobby to bitch and complain about them here, but when you compare them to other cities, at least cities back home in North America that I've been to, man, they are light years ahead of that. So,
Oh, for sure.
yeah. So it was really cool sitting down with Don. Thank you, Don, for coming on the show, and it's really cool knowing that talented, smart people like you are out there working hard to make me get to work in the easiest way possible. So cool seeing what's coming up in Bangkok, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, however long I end up staying here. Seeing as how I just admitted to being a lifer. All right, well, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us surprises the other with a particular aspect of life in Bangkok, which we then discuss and decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or it's something that we have just come to accept as part of the crazy tapestry of Bangkok. So this week, it is Ed's turn.
Okay, well, I've got a little bit of a strange one because I'm going to exempt something from this question. Okay? And you might understand what I mean as when I tell you what I'm talking about. So what I want to exempt from this love, loathe, or live with is mango and sticky rice.
Ooh, intriguing. Okay.
So, Greg, what I want to ask you is, in general, what do you think of Thai desserts, except mango and sticky rice, which is awesome?
Wow. Interesting, because I have a very definite opinion on this. Not quite there yet. Thailand has nailed the food portion of today's show, but desserts, exactly what I've thought in the past. When you take out mango and sticky rice, I think Thai desserts leave a lot to be desired.
That's amazing. I agree with you 100%. Mango and sticky rice is amazing. Like it's such an odd combination. Like if you would, in the States before I came to Thailand, if you said, "Yeah, we're going to take some fruit and then have rice with it," I'd be like, "You don't eat fruit and rice." It just seems like such an odd thing. Yeah, they were going to pour
some sweet sort of mildly gritty milk on top of it, and also some pine seeds. I'm like, get the fuck. What are you talking about?
Mango and sticky rice is awesome, but there's no other Thai dessert that I found that I find tolerable. I just don't like them. They're just weird. Like there's a lot of jelly, there's a lot of weird gelatinous things.
Man, it's so funny. We're exactly on the same wavelength about this, and we've never discussed this, I don't think.
Yeah. Listeners, honestly, Greg and I have never talked about Thai desserts before.
Yeah, so I was in general Thai desserts loathe. You have those bowls of like that disgusting black grass jelly.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and they put it on in ice and then heap brown sugar on it. Like a bowl of motor oil would taste good if you put enough brown sugar in it. And it's like these day glow colored gelatinous worms in weird sauce.
That's right. There's a lot of weird noodles. There's a lot of weird noodle look like things, and they tend to be like sickly sweet. I mean, just really, really, really sweet. Like basically like pure sugar sauce.
Yeah. So it's taking out mango and sticky rice, which I love. Yeah, no, I loathe Thai desserts. I just don't get it. My most hated one of all is luk chup, and they're those little miniature versions of full-size fruits. Like you have like a little watermelon, or like a little banana.
Things. Yeah, I hate those things.
And they look beautiful because they're very brightly colored and they have a gelatinous coating, so they're shiny and they look very appetizing. And then you bite into them and they're just very bland bean paste. Like it's a total
psych out. It's bean paste. That's right. Bean paste is horrible. Like along with like the glass jelly noodles, like the bean paste, like the syrupy sauces. It's strange because as you pointed out, I love Thai food, like the main courses I love. Like I love tom yum, I love tom kha, I love Thai curries. Like I'm a huge fan of Thai food, but not Thai desserts, except for mango and sticky rice.
Exactly. And don't even get me started about when I'm looking forward to dessert and someone brings out a plate of pineapple. I'm like, oh no, you didn't. That's not what I think about when I want dessert.
Well, that's better. That's a plate of pineapple is better than most Thai desserts.
Yeah, I'd rather have that than a plate of black goo with brown sugar poured on top of it. So, good one, man. Yeah, I'd say that's a solid loathe from me.
All right, I'm loathe as well.
Yeah, cool.
So the rare double loathe.
That's a good one.
All right, before we wrap up, another big thanks goes out to all of our lovely patrons. As you know, we don't run ads or have sponsors, so we really do appreciate the support we get from our patrons. If you want to learn more, just head to bangkokpodcast.com/support. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's easy. Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We are very polite, and if you write, we will answer.
Right on. You can also find each episode on YouTube, and you can also follow us on the Line Chat app, where we post each episode and carry on random conversations with our listeners all over the world. You can also reach out to me directly on Twitter, where I am BKK Greg. So thanks again for listening, everyone, this week, and we'll see you back here next week.
See you next week.
All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or leave, where one of us surprises. Ooh, I said that wrong.